presenters present here. So today I would like to introduce to our session chair, Professor Manoj M. He is an associate professor at the Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering at IIT Delhi. He is also the chair, MOUD chair, Ministry of Urban Development in Urban Transport and Environment. So today's session focuses on public transport. Manoj sir's personal focus on research is in travel demand modeling, activity-based modeling, and likewise. So I would like to give it to Manoj sir to start the session.
Okay, thank you. I think I'm audible, right? Yeah, great. So thank you. Welcome to the session, public transport. It's an important, policy concept. At the same time, you see, being in, see this concept being popular because of, dwindling shares, new interventions, etc. And I think we believe we have an interesting session today on this particular important theme. We have 6 papers lined up. The concepts or the focus of these papers ranging from demand analysis, service quality assessment, sustainability concepts, and so on. And without any further delay, let me invite the first speaker. And before that, let me give you a few instructions to the authors and as well as the audience alike. So we have 15 minutes, and of which 10 minutes is for the presentation, and remaining 5 minutes for Q&A. And Q&A, we'll be taking maximum 3 questions, and they have to be short also, because we need to wrap up on time and ensure that the other session starts on time. For that reason, we are very strict on these timelines. And either me or my rapporteur or a volunteer would actually signal you when you are towards the end of your presentation. Particularly, you just have 1 minute left for your presentation. And that gives you an idea that you have to wrap up in 1 minute. Your presentation should end in 15 minutes, basically. Okay, so you get this warning when you are into your 14th minute of your presentation. Okay, with that, let me invite the first speaker, Mr. Dilawais Ali. I think is presenting work on travel behavior analysis. Yeah. Okay, sorry, Miss. Yeah, sorry for the confusion. So over to you, ma'am. Huh?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Dilawais Ali. I'm a PhD scholar at BITS Pilani, Hyderabad, working with Professor Prasant Sahu. I'm here to present a part of my research work. That's an empirical investigation of the influence of socio-demographic, travel information, satisfaction, and tax savviness on the safety perception of the first and last mile travel. As we know that a country's progress is not achieved just by the economic growth, but also with the well-being and living standards of all the citizens. So within this fundamental right, a right of free movement is very crucial and can be achieved with the safe mobility. So this can be achieved, this means that a citizen can access public spaces without any kind of violence or threat. So here, my topic is on the first and last mile safety and security. So first and last mile is a crucial segment to improve accessibility for the transit riders. Even if we have a high quality main mile services, still first and last mile access can hinder the transit ridership due to various factors like the poor infrastructure, safety and security concerns, and also maybe due to the unavailability of the feeder modes. So due to this safety and security concerns or due to other factors, there is a probable shift to the private vehicles. That is, the public commuters may shift to the private vehicles, and this can increase the transportation negative externalities like congestion, pollution. So in order to minimize this, there is the essential need to analyze the commuter's safety perception during the first and last mile travel. Here in my study, first mile refers to the segment from origin to the nearest bus stop, while as the last mile refers to a segment from the bus stop, from the metro stop to the destination. Here in my study, origin does not refer only the home place. It can be both home as well as work, and also destination can also be as home as well as work. So my objectives are to identify the factors influencing the safety perception of transit commuters during the first and last mile travel. Also to investigate the roles of various psychological attributes on the safety perception of commuters, and to determine how this safety perception varies from the first and last mile travel. This is a methodological framework that I have used for this study. I have collected a data from the metro transit commuters on the socio-demographic travel attributes, various safety factors, and also included a satisfaction and the tax saviness. So I have collected the data from 7 different metro stations of Hyderabad, like Miapur, KPHB, Raidurg, Amirpet, MG bus station, LB Nagar, and Sikandrabad East, covering all 3 metro lines, red, blue, and green lines. And I have collected a final sample size of 4514 transit commuters, and I have used a simple random sampling technique. So here is the description of my data. Majority of the respondents were male, nearly 70%, and also most of the respondents were aged between 25 and 44 years. And also the majority of respondents have an annual income of less than 2.5 lakhs and held a graduate degree. So this is a description of my data. Also, the transit commuters were used in a variety of modes during the first and last mile travel, like cab, walk, bicycle, personal car, and majority of the commuters used a walk mode for both the first mile as well as last mile travel. Now we have grouped, there are variety of modes, so we have grouped those modes into 3 like groups: private vehicle, paratransit, and non-motorized transport. And here you can see that majority of the, greater than 60% commuters were using a non-motorized transport like walk for their first and last mile travel. So here it's this figure represents the trip chain composition for the metro users. Here you can see nearly 47% of the commuters used a walk mode for both the first mile as well as last mile mode. Other trip chains were also there, like they are using walk mode in the first mile, then in the last mile they are using the auto rickshaw mode, or in the first mile as well as in the last mile, 7% of the commuters use the personal two-wheelers. Here also this is the modal share at different metro stations of Hyderabad. You can see here in all the 7 metro station, walk mode is the dominant mode for both the first mile as well as last mile, and followed by the auto rickshaw and the personal two-wheeler. Here this is the representation of the modal share at 7 different metro stations for both the first mile as well as last mile travel. Here you can see that percentage of trips at different times. Here during the morning peak hours and evening peak hours, and also at late evening peak, that majority of the commuters were traveling during these hours, like 8 to 12 p.m., 4 to 8 p.m. and 8 to 12 p.m. for both the first and last mile travel. Here we have asked the commuters a question related to the perception of safety when they were traveling alone at night time, and they through the modes for both the first mile as well as last mile, through different modes, whether it's private, paratransit, and NMT, and they have reported that they are feeling very safe during the private transport. And if we see here unsafe and very unsafe, like non-motorized transport, they have reported that they are feeling very unsafe using this mode during the night time, when they are traveling during the night time for the first and last mile. So we have done a conformity factor analysis, like already in the methodology chart, we have collected the data related to the satisfaction and the tax saviness. In the satisfaction, we have asked the commuters if they are using a non-motorized transport. So we have asked them, like, how satisfied are you with the police patrolling van? How satisfied are you with the CCTV cameras during the first and last mile travel? So they have reported the rating from 1 to 5, from very unsatisfied to very satisfied. And also, if they are using a if they are using a private transport for their first and last mile travel, so we have asked the question like, how satisfied are you with the parking? How satisfied are you with the good road conditions? And also, if they are using a paratransit, then we have asked like, how satisfied with your with the GPS tracking or cleanness, travel details. For the tax saviness, to measure the tax saviness, we have asked the questions like, how likely are you using the navigation, UPI, online shopping, to measure these two latent factors, satisfaction and tax saviness. And here you are seeing that the loadings for all the variables are greater than 0.4, and also the reliability is greater than 0.7.
So you have 1 minute roughly. You have 1 minute remaining.
Okay, sorry. So for these are the results of the order probit model. We have developed 6 order probit models for the first and last mile. Here you can see females are very less likely to feel unsafe as compared to males, and also the younger ones are feeling unsafe as compared to older ones. If you are seeing that the time of the day during morning and evening peak hours, the commuters are feeling unsafe. Here we have asked if they are if they have traveled, if they have experienced any kind of crime in the past. Then if they have experienced, then their perception is negative, and also the satisfaction is the positively correlated with the safety and tax saviness. If they are tax savvy, then they are feeling safe through the paratransit modes. So these are the conclusions, like females perceive the first and last mile travel as very unsafe as compared to males. And also there is a notable temporal pattern in safety and security perception, like peak hour is associated with lower safety. Respondents having a prior criminal activity, their perception is negative, and also the satisfaction, if they are satisfied with all the facilities, then their perception is high related to the safety. And also the respondents who are tech savvy, technological proficient, they are feeling more safe with paratransit, maybe due to the GPS tracking or driver details. So these are some policy, like we have to form the gender sensitive policies, like dedicated transit cell, like infrastructure. If we are this CCTV police patrolling van, if we introduce that, and also with the promote collaboration with private mobility providers, because as we see the taxi commuters, they are feeling more safe. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's give a round of applause for the presenter. It was an interesting presentation. The floor is open for discussion. We can take 3 quick questions, and I think during the tea break, audience can interact with the presenter. 3 quick questions. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Okay. Okay. Less females are feeling less safe as compared to males. Here, my target sample was metro transit users, and if we see in Hyderabad, nearly 35% of the metro users, or only 35% of metro users are females. Rest were males. And this data collect here in my sample, 30% were females. That means only a difference of 5%. If we talk about the representation of the sample. And also this data we have collected before introducing of the free bus services for females. After introducing the free bus services, that means majority of the female commuters who were using metro, they shift to the public services. That means this decreased the female metro users. So that's why the females were only the 30%.
Just 1 minute. See, at 11 o'clock, we will have quiz competition, urban transport quiz. That will be in the exhibition area. All are requested to join us. You win the question, you give the right answer, we will give you some token prize. Please join us, because in the exhibition area, that is during tea time, 11 to 11:30. So I will be waiting for you. That is why especially I have come to make, and I am sorry for 2 minutes I have taken. 2 मिनट इनके काट लो, उसको काटना मत. ठीक है, थैंक यू. बोलिए. क्या है दूसरे वाला आपका साथी?
सब लोग हैं सर उसमें बॉलरूम में.
Okay, so we are a little bit tight on schedule, so we will move on to the next speaker. Thank you very much for your
Thank you all.
wonderful
Thank you so much.
presentation. So now I would like to call up paper ID 1384. Presenter is Abhishek.
So, good morning everyone. My name is Abhishek and I am a research scholar at IIT Ropar. Today I will be presenting my study titled Understanding Pedestrian Priorities for Metro Access, a Dual Method Analysis in Chandigarh. So this research focuses on how people perceive walking accessibility to the upcoming metro station in Chandigarh and what are the important factors that people will perceive while walking. So let me begin with the brief introduction about what is walking. So as we all know that walking is one of the most basic and sustainable mode of travel. It not only reduces the environmental pollution, but it also helps in improving the public health and make a sustainable and livable environment. In cities, we see that walking plays a critical role that it provides first mile and last mile connectivity to enhance the public transit system, whether it is a metro system or bus system. In Indian cities, we see that these pedestrian infrastructure are not well developed. We have footpaths that are discontinuous, broken or unsafe that discourages people not to walk. But Chandigarh on the other hand is well established city. It has sector based system and it has the well defined route. So this makes it perfect case to study how people perceive walking accessibility for upcoming metro stations and what are the important factors that people will perceive while walking. So with this brief introduction, let's move to the next part, that is the objective of this study. So the objective of this study is of three parts. First objective is to identify the key factors that influence how people choose walking routes to the metro station, and the second objective is to apply the analytical techniques, that is the read it and GRA analysis, to evaluate and rank the walking environment attributes. And the third objective is to provide the practical recommendation for improving pedestrian access to the proposed metro system in the Chandigarh. Now we all are known about the objectives of this study. So let's move to the next part, that is the methodology. So the methodology of this objective is divided into these segments. First of all, we have this questionnaire survey, then the data preparation, then the third one is the Reddit analysis, and the fourth one is the gray relation analysis, then the comparison between these two methods, and finally the key findings. So if we talk about the questionnaire survey, so first of all the questionnaire is prepared in which the 16 walking attributes are taken from the literature review, and then these are refined to the Indian context. And then the data is collected in which the question is asked to the people to rank these attributes from 1 to 5, 1 being the most important and 5 being the least important. In this way, I have collected a sample of 100 commuters, and then the data is prepared for the analysis like Reddit analysis. So in the Reddit analysis, the ranking of attribute is done on the basis of perceived importance of the attributes. And after that, to complement these analysis, the gray relation analysis is done, in which the attributes are ranked on the basis of how close these attributes are to the ideal condition. Then the comparison of these two attributes, these analyses are done, and then the key findings are taken out from this. So let's move to the next slide, that is the result part of this. So here we have this bar chart that and in this bar chart we have the footpath attributes in the x-axis and the percentage of respondents on the y-axis. So the 16 attributes that I am talking about are walking distance, waiting time, road crossing time, footpath width, pedestrian walkways, CCTV lighting, obstruction, slope, marking and signage, aesthetics and hygiene and cleanliness. So from from this bar chart, we can see that the most important attribute that people gave the ranking to 1 and 2, that is the most important and important, are hygiene and cleanliness, CCTV and street light, and walking distance. So these are like the 97% of people have given hygiene and cleanliness most important and important ranking. And after that we have this CCTV and street light, that is the safety part. 93% of people have given them a rating of most important and important. And after that the walking distance, 90% of people have given them ranking of this 1 and 2. And if we talk about the slope, if we talk about this slope and the obstruction, so there are only 47% of percentage of people have given them ranking 1. And if we talk about the obstruction, only 46% of people have given them ranking 1 and 2. So this gives us first indication about what are the important factors that people will perceive initially. So this so let's move to the next part of this, that is the limit analysis. As I have discussed that in the limit analysis, we rank the attribute on the basis of the perception of people. So these are the attributes like walking distance, waiting time, and aesthetics and hygiene and cleanliness. And as I have discussed that my Likert scale is 1 being the most important and 5 being the least important. So in this way, the Reddit score is calculated. In this, the lower the Reddit score, higher will be the importance. So here we again see that the most important attribute is our hygiene and cleanliness, with having a value of 0.2494. And after that we have this CCTV and lighting, with having a value of 0.3284, having a rank 2. And after that we have this walking distance, having a value of 0.3899, ranked as 3. So from this we can find we can see that the safety, walking distance, and hygiene and cleanliness are the top 3 priority of the people when they consider walking as their prime goal. And if we talk about the other attributes such as the weather protection, this pedestrian walkways, and marking and signage, so we see that people value comfort and the clear guidance while walking. So if we talk about the next attribute such as the slope and obstruction, we can see that they have values like 0.6925 and 0.6893, having a rank of 16 and 15. So it shows that these attributes are very less influential when people perceive walking, because we see that in Chandigarh the terrain is flat, so people don't bother about this slope that much. So in order to complement this limit analysis, we have the next part, that is the GRA analysis. So in the GRA analysis, it based on the how closely each walking attribute is to the ideal condition. So here we see that the more the GRA score, more will be its importance. So here we again see that the most important attribute is our hygiene and cleanliness, with having a rank 1, with having a GRA score of 0.9334, and after that followed by this CCTV lighting, having a score of 0.9000, rank 2, and after that we have this walking distance again, having a rank of 3 with 0.8434. This again shows that the people value this cleanliness, walking distance, and the safety as the most important attributes. And again we see that the slope and obstruction
Excuse me, you have 2 minutes.
having a rank of 16 and 15. So from these two analyses, we see that in both of the cases the topmost attributes are our hygiene and cleanliness, walking distance, and this CCTV and lighting. So from these two analyses, we can see that the most important attribute in both of the cases is these 3. So it means that most of the cases when people walking to the metro station or any station, so they consider hygiene and cleanliness as the most important attributes. So after that, after this analysis, we can conclude this study. So in this study, as I have discussed, like I have collected the data of 100 commuters, and then 2 complementary techniques are used, like Reddit analysis and this GRA analysis. And we have found that in most of the cases, the top influencing factors are like cleanliness and hygiene, safety, walking distance, and weather protection. and the less significant factors are like slope, obstacle, pavement continuity. So from these findings, we confirm that the safety, comfort, environmental qualities are the core dimension of the commuter-friendly walking environment. So now we did the conclusion of this study. So let's move to the last slide of this presentation, that is the implication for the practice. So as I was discussing again and again that the top three attributes are like cleanliness and hygiene, safety and security, comfort and weather condition. So we should have to more focus on these attributes and do some policy implication on that. So there should be the policy implication like implementation of regular sweeping, anti-litter campaign should be there, and anti-litter initiative should be there, and the waste dustbin should be at at least 500-meter interval. And the second most important attribute is the safety and security. So there should be the installation of the CCTV cameras along with the lighting facilities, and that should be integrated with the surveillance into the any type of public transport system. And the third one is our comfort and weather condition. So there should be the develop shaded areas, clean land, and covered walkways to enhance the pedestrian comfort and the weather resilience. And the footpath design, so this should be wide, continuous, obstruction-free sidewalk with the clear pedestrian signage. And finally, the walking distance, that is the important attribute also. So there should be the optimized route length. Like we have to make the underpass and overpass in order to reduce these walking distance. So these are some types of policy implication for the practice. So thank you for listening.
Thank you very much for your wonderful presentation. Any questions from the audience? We can accommodate a few questions.
Hello. Yes, thank you, Abhishek, for the presentation. I just have one question. With respect to your sample size, could you say something a little bit more about the distribution by, say, age or occupation, and could that have affected your conclusion? So, say, for example, obstacles were found to be least significant in your conclusions, like that I could see. But does the user distribution have some role to play in affecting your inferences? Thank you so much.
But then my sample size is just like a small sample size, like 100 meters. So it's just a mix of all these ages. Like there is no any particular age I have considered for this.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, one.
I mean, for a mode of transport which is not existing, you have done this research study. I mean, how you ask these questions from the commuters which are not existent? I mean, how you perceive this? That is first question. The second is that in what environment you have done this, because your results are little bit counterintuitive, because the first thing is the access to the metro station or whatever bus station is there, which is the continuous footpath or continuous walkways to that, which is coming as I think 7th or 8th in your ranking. The hygiene and the cleanliness will come only when the infrastructure is there. So if you have done the survey at the location where already there are good footpaths, then that attribute will not emerge, because people will not perceive that as a problem. So in what environment you have considered, in what location you have considered, will really influence your outcomes of this. So just clarify that.
Like I have collected this data at the Chandigarh ISBT 43 sector. So in that there are many people that have used these footpaths.
No, footpaths are there, already there.
Yes.
Okay, so we would like to move on from here. Thank you very much again for your presentation. So I would like to call upon stage the next presenter for paper ID 1541, Jagannath Patnaik.
So thank you. So very So very good morning to all of you. Myself is Jagannath Patnaik. I am the PhD scholar, Center for Transportation System, IIT Roorkee, under the supervision of Professor Manoranjan Parida and Professor Subhajit Sadhu Khan. So today's my topic is basically the priority intervention of bus service quality factor using toxic analysis, because this is the very necessary factor and which has been identified based on the policy implementation in different city. Particularly I have chosen the smart city Bhubaneswar for this study. So this is the very common scenario in most of the Indian city. You can see that due to the industrialization growth and the urbanization, there is a rank of the rising of the urbanization status as a result of the higher impact on the urbanization cities. As a result of it is increasing the travel demand activity. As a result, you can see that travel demand activity increasing day by day, where the private mode user, they are more attracted to use private vehicle rather than the public transportation as a cause of carbon dioxide emission and traffic dispute on the load. So therefore, it is very necessary to challenge develop a sustainable mode public transportation share, so that you can reduce your emission or the more implement sustainable transportation in our society. So you can see that in around, if this scenario is persist or scenario is maintained, then about 36% of the rural population will be urbanized by 2050 according to World Bank resources. So this is the city transit system of current scenario of India. You can see that lot of increasing of the private mode vehicle and the number of vehicles that have been registered past few years, and this is drastically changing in our city. And you can, talking about the mode share, you can see the private vehicles have more number of mode share in compared to public transportation system. If I talking about public transport system, there is only 10 to 15% mode share in public transportation, and the sitting having those who are public transportation, they have lag behind the due to poor service quality factor, because the public transportation system is the backbone of the most of the Indian cities. Therefore, it is crucial for challenging to develop a sustainable public transportation service quality factor, so that it can be implemented by improving the service quality. Next is the need for a qualitative study. So what is bus service quality? Bus service quality is nothing but based on the user perception, and it depends upon the perception lag between expectation. In other words, say expectation prior to the public implementation. More or less, you can see that bus quality management system, this bus service quality is quantified into 4 loops. That is the customer perspective and service provider perspective. The customer perspective is saying that it's the lag between perceived quality and desired quality. And according to the service provider perspective, is saying that target quality, how target quality matches with the delivered quality. So according to, I can say, in this study, I can prefer the customer positive service quality, because customer is the whole judge of different types of service, because user perception definitely a modal shift towards the policy implementation in our society. So that thus I have used the user perception service quality for my study. So next is objective. These 3 objectives I have identified. This first one is to identify the user perspective disaggregate level bus service quality attributes. Second is that to evaluate the derived satisfaction ranking on perception bus service quality attributes. Third is that to identify the derived satisfaction ranking of bus service quality attribute for priority and policy. So based on the literature review, the factor which have been defined under the past literature review with respect to the authors, year, country, transit mode analysis method. There are different types of analysis method I have gone through. However, for policy implementation, I have chosen the MCDM method TOPSIS, because this is the very necessary and straightforward technique for my study. So for the gone to literature review, I can see that the factor which I have used mostly in past study, they have clear in bold letter. That means those who have size in big size, I can see that these are mostly preferred in past study in terms of policy implementation of service quality. So in my study, I have chosen the 50 service attribute. However, initially there is huge number of attribute I have collected on the basis of internet browsing, web of science, by the picking of the attribute from the words like service quality, boss, metro, satisfaction, perception. Similarly, this 906 service quality attribute that is quantify refining into 410 by removal of duplicate. Then the 410 attribute reduced to 56 quality attribute in terms of content validation, thematic clustering in relevance of this study. However, 50 service quality attribute, however, identified for the study according to the pilot survey and expert opinion. So these are the final service quality attribute. I have chosen 50 service quality attribute for this is my study, and this is the my reference and the transit mode. So for the study area, I have chosen the smart city Bhubaneswar. You know this Bhubaneswar is situated east coastal city of Odisha under the Indian subcontinent. And according to the smart city Bhubaneswar, it is first quantified in 2015 according the smart city challenge mission of Government of India. Now the city bus that is operated on the provision of service provider like CRUD, that is capital regional urban transit mode. CRUD, and CRUD has the now remarkable achievement like over 2 lakh commuter per day, and is the best city transportation system in 17 mobility Indian Expo context. So this is the brief methodology. So in methodology, I have choose the Topsys analysis as a technique for order of preference similar to the ideal solution. And already I have gone through the review literature, the frequency analysis, identifying discrete factor. So I have chosen the user perception survey in Likert scale, 5-point Likert scale, the perceived satisfaction scale. So this is the descriptive statistics. I have used the total sample of 716 sample and 5-point ordinal Likert scale. Satisfaction scale 1 stands for very unsatisfied, 5 stands for very satisfied. This is the frequency rating of all attribute in terms of frequency of users. And this is the descriptive statistic of gender, male, female, travel frequency. So this is the basic methodology part of Topsys analysis. So first in Topsys analysis, first step is to organize the decision matrix. In the decision matrix, A stands for the attribute, C stands for your criteria. For the criteria, I have chosen the Likert scale item 1 to 5, where the A1, A2, A3, this is the attribute level. Then F1 is the frequency of response of user with respect to attribute 1 with respect to the level of criteria. Second is the formulate the normalized decision matrix with respect to 0 and 1 with the formula. Step 3 is the establish the multiplying factor into step 2, that is W into RAT. And step 4 is the identification of positive.
You have 2 minutes.
Identification of positive and negative ideal solution. So positive ideal solution, definitely you have to maximize the maximum satisfaction level, and negative ideal solution is that you can to maximize the minimum satisfaction level. As a result, I can find the equivalent distance from positive and negative ideal solution. And the step 6 is that to calculate the relative closeness of the ranking order of performance factor. The performance factor that is quantified in terms of 0, 1. Those performance factor is 0, that is you can see this is less performing factor. Those performance factor is 1, this is the high performance factor. So based on this is the analysis that I have already told this is the main thematic of the decision matrix. This is the attribute, and this is the level of satisfaction 1 to 5. So this is the result analysis part. Then you can see that unfortunately that is got from me here. You can see that this is the I can on this basis I can say that the traffic density on the neighboring bus stop is the rank 1, because I can see that the more satisfaction level, this is the lower priority. Sorry, more satisfaction, this is the lower priority. Higher poor satisfaction, this is the higher priority in my studies. As a result, the traffic density at neighboring bus stop is the quantifies the rank 1, because it is the performing very poor. And in terms of ascending order, I have identified this service quality attribute in the ranking. So you can see the vibration noise. This is the higher satisfaction level. So it is the very required for less priority.
Kindly wrap up.
This is the policy recommendation. This is the this is the poor service quality factor. This is bus overcrowding, crew member behavior, waiting bus time. So these are the factors we should require for urgent attention to require policy implementation as smart city Bhubaneswar, so that if we overlook this factor, then definitely our bus service quality will be improvement. Thank you.
Thank you for your wonderful presentation. I'm open for the audience for any kind of questions. We have time for about 2 questions.
Hi, very nice presentation. I just have a small question. So when you collected the survey data, did you have any kind of filtering questions? Like, did you only consider passengers who regularly use the bus, or intermittently using were also fine?
This is a very interesting question, madam. Actually, I have used this data on the basis of regular user. Those who have who have regular this service like more than 20 days in a month. Because those who are regular user can definitely they can responsible for this policy implementation factor by improving the service quality. Therefore, I have chosen the regular bus user more than 20 days, those who can use the who are using bus.
Okay, thank you.
No, I have collected the data on the shelter, those who have user are waiting for the buses particularly, because yes.
Any more questions from the audience? Okay, thank you very much for your presentation again.
Thank you.
Next up, I would like to call Kumar Santosh for paper ID 3342.
Morning to everyone. Myself Santosh Kumar. I am a research scholar in Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. And today I am presenting the research article. The title of the paper was Balancing Affordability and Sustainability, Evaluating the Impact of Public Transportation Fare Hike in Bangalore. The co-author of the paper was the Dr. Rohit Singh Nitwal and the Professor Ashish Verma, IST Lab, ISC Bangalore. The paper is mainly focusing on the evaluating the impact of the public transportation. Recently, fare hike is happened in the Bangalore in the early of the 2025 year. These were the outline of the presentation. These were the sections coming up in the following slide. Coming to the introduction, the public transportation plays an important role in the large urban algorithms. We are also know that most of the people who are migrated from the rural areas to the urban areas due to the various purposes. Once they are coming to the urban areas, there is primary mode. They have to travel from one place to another place. They use the public transportation. And the ridership levels is main the performance and the service quality, service performance, and the fare structures and the reliability. These are the 4 main key factors that will be important for increasing the ridership in the public transportation, in the both as well as metros and the bus transits. In the current paper, we mainly focusing on the fare structures and the pricing, one of the key factors from the performance indicators, because these fare structures is influencing the travel behavior and the mode choice decision of the passengers. The people who are use the mode mainly they base it upon their fare structures. Also, they can choose their mode. And coming to in the recent days in the India, many of the states introduced the passenger-oriented schemes to promote the efficient, equitable use of the public transportation. We have seen that most states such as Andhra Pradesh, Delhi, Karnataka, Punjab, and these states will give free women travel schemes, travel in the public transportation in the buses. In Maharashtra, they also give some 50% to free schemes for the women who travel in the public transportation, and some of the passenger-oriented schemes such as they give some schemes for the students as well as the senior citizens. And the fare revisions is also often necessary for the financial sustainability, but it can't be go ahead negatively affected the affordability it will not increase so much so that people will shift it from public transportation to the non-public transportations. In the in the early year of 2025 in the Bangalore, there have been increases up to the 20% in the buses and up to the 50% in the metros. And apart from this, this ridership is also related to the sustainable transportation indices. There are 17 sustainable transportation indices as introduced in the year 2015. These will also affect it to these fare policies and the fare X directly or indirectly influenced on multiple sustainable transportation goals. These will affect it to these goals also. They are directly influenced to the sustainable and cities and the communities, and it also reduce the inequalities in sustainable goals 10, and it also important for the sustainable goal 11, no poverty. Indirectly, it affected to the good health and well-being by increasing the people who are shifted from private transport to the non-private public transportations. There will be increases in the carbon emissions, CO2 emissions and all. It will increase the CO2 and well-being, and also climate actions will be coming. The main objective and methodology of the current study was, the main objective is to impact the recent fare hike in Bengaluru in the metros and the bus service, with mainly focusing on how the ticket pricing affect the travel behavior, affordability and overall quality of the life of the passengers. The study utilized the two methods. One is statistical method such as McNamara, it's a non-parametric test, and one more is multinomial logic model, it's a discrete choice modeling method to evaluate the changes in the mode share of the user preference. The overall framework of the study was, first we can go through the various literature related to the fare policies and the fare things, then we can choose the study area and understanding the public transportation fare hike impacts, how it will going on. Then we can collect the primary data collection, data pre-processing, and using the non-parametric test. And one more scenario is we can use the MNL model, mode share analysis. Here we are using the base as usual scenario before the public transportation fare hike, and after the, also we can, that what are the fare hike scenario after the fare hike. Then we can, how much mode shift, we can get the mode shift from the scenario, results and discussion, then the implication and the recommendation of the study. The model one, first we have used the non-parametric test, that is the McNamara test. It's a non-parametric and generally use it for the categorical variable to use analysis the parent nominal data that for the same subject measured before and the after, what has the effect happened to the data. And it is a hypothesis test was conducted to assess the whether the intervention had the significant impact of the mode choice behavior. This is the equation for the McNamara test, where B and C values are used in the contingency table, where here we have generally use the table ABCD, where A will be show that the person we have before using the metro, they can also using the metro as their mode choice. Another model is multinomial MNL model. Here we have used the two variables, that is one is travel time and the travel cost. Yes. Then we can use the random utility maximization, the beta values. This is the utilization there, where beta 1 will the constant values, and TT is the travel time and TC is the travel cost, and the error term will be added, and beta AAC will be the alternate specific constants. This is the utility equation, where VA is the deterministic component and the U will be the error term. And where I is the UIJ, where I is the mode and U is the decision maker of the mode transit. And this is the probability of the mode which passenger that can be used. And coming to the study area, the current study utilizes study used in the BMR region, where it consisting of three districts, Bangalore Urban, Bangalore Rural and the Ramnagara. And the Bangalore BMR region consisting of a 384 transit analysis zone. This will be divided based upon their land use category as well as the population data. And BMR has a population of approximately 15.4 million, and it covers nearly 8,000 square kilometer. And in the Bangalore, the mainly two, by BMTC operates the city bus agencies, and the BMRCL operates the metro system. From the GTFS real-time data, we can know the GTFS data. We know that nearly 5,700 bus routes are currently operated in the BMTC, and nearly 6,000 buses will operated in BMTC, including the electric vehicles. And the metro lines, currently 3 metro lines were operated in the Bangalore city, and 8 proposed lines were going on. And nearly 96 kilometers of the metro lines were already completed, and it is the second largest city in India after the Delhi. And in early quarter of the year, the government of Karnataka increases the fare of buses and the metros. Nearly 20% of the fare hike increases in the buses, and nearly 50% of the, up to 50% of the metro fare was increased in the metros. The data collection, the current study has collected the data in the explore the aspect of major aspects of the transportation accessibility, affordability, and the policy making. The data collected in the open data in the IIC, it is an event happen in every year, where the public will allow to come inside the campus to know the what are all this is going on. At the time we can collect the data. We nearly collected 220 samples. So after the pre-processing, we can get the 184 samples for the processing the data analysis. And apart from this, the study also used the mode share data assessing the condition before and after the FAIREC. This data we can get it from the our lab data. These data will get it from the travel diaries of the all 384 zones. And these are the few bus articles that will come related to the FAIREC by 50% in the metros and as well as the 20% in the bus transits. Result from this study, these were the descriptive statistics of the 184 data we have collected in this open data. Among them, 62 were males and 38 from females. And it also depends upon the age. The age group will be 80 to 30, between 65% of between 80 to 30, and 20 be less than 18, 21%. Because most of the people who are coming to the open day analysis is recently graduated students and who are studying in the currently engineering students and some of the graduate students. And the occupation is most of them were students, and 20% were from the private sector and 6% from the public sector. The ownership of the vehicle ownership.
Sorry, 2 minutes left.
Okay. Vehicle ownership is 51%, 28% will be the two-wheeler, and 13% will be the four-wheeler, and 8% will be the combined. The mode share of the vehicle is 48% of the people who are using the public transportation as primary mode of public transportation, and 26 were non-public, and 17% use both public as well as a private, and 9% are non-MT. Coming to the FAIREC impacts on the McNamara test, it was employed to examine the marginal homogeneity between the dichromatous vehicle, namely public transportation, before and after the FAIREC scenarios. The hypothesis we have formulated is there is a significant shift of the commuters from the public transportation to the private mode of public transportation. The hypothesis was further tested across the different group of gender as well as the income groups. The finding was rated that there is a statistical significance changes is confirming the behavioral shift from the public to the private mode. These were the Sankey plots, which will shows that the people who are using the 31.5% of the public transportation before, they were shifted to the non-public transportation after the FAIREC scenario in the metros and the buses. Similarly, we can go through the male and female gender aspects. Here there is a significant difference in the male commutators, but there is no significance in the female commutators. The reason is there is a Shakti scheme given in the Karnataka. The female people, they have the free scheme who are traveling the buses. And similarly, we can did it for the income groups. Here the low income groups have a statistical significant, but there is a medium and income groups there is no significant groups. Because from the starting onwards, medium and income groups will using the higher public, their private vehicles as well as the metros. And after the FAIREC also they can using the metros only. It is the FAIREC impacts on the MNL model. Here we have used the two scenarios before and after the public case scenario. These were the calibrated values of beta and the beta 1 and all. These were the results of the mode share. And from the result we can get that there is an increase in the ridership of the car by 0.5% and motor vehicles by 1.8%, auto by 0.1%. But there is a reduction in the ridership after the fare increase in the metros by minus 5.3%. But fortunately increases in the buses by 2.8%, because the reason was we can know that there is a people who are primarily using the female passengers who are using the metros as a primary mode of transportation. They, after the fare increases, they shifted to the buses due to the buses having the free fare for the women. And these were some of the planning implications. First one is promote complementarity between the modes, because buses and metros are like they are thinking competitive between among themselves. If we integrated the buses as well as the metros in the combined together, they can integrate tickets and all. It will increases the ridership and all, address the mode of diversity and sustainability, and ensure the equality among the fare policies, integrate gender sensitives, and they adopt the data-driven and SDG goals. Coming to the conclusion, the FAIREC is significantly influenced most shift behavior, particularly among the low-income group male commutators. The already mentioned the metro ridership has declined by 5.3% and 2 increase in the bus transportation by plus 2.8%. Due to the reason is the Shakti scheme offering free bus travel for women sustainability and gender-based travel patterns. And the study emphasizes the importance balancing of financial sustainability with equity and the ensuring fair policies. These were the findings. These also aligns with some of the SDGs such as 1.5, 10.2 and all. These reinforcing the link between the affordable transport, gender equality and social inclusion. The study has some limitations. The study has conducted in the ISC open day event. There is a sample size limits that were there. And the age biases, the samples. Highlights need to be broader response across the demographical groups. The further study should be collected in location specific details, because the study is collected in the particular location and all. This will be long-term sustainability and this travel demand modeling under the BI condition. These were some of the few references in the current study. Thank you. If you have any further questions.
Thank you very much. It was a wonderful presentation. So I will just ask one question, and after that I will open it to the audience. So you showed in the results that the whole modeling infrastructure is kind of always like there are different kinds of groups that you can define, and they have some different kinds of behaviors, right? So why did you still stick with only MNL model and not try other models which address heterogeneity better?
Actually, current study we have utilized two different data sets. One is data we can collect it from the open day survey data. One more we can collect it from the travel diaries from the previous data we have. From the previous data we have, we can know that we have the 384 all these ones travel diaries. So that among them we know that what is the what is the scenario of the mode share before the fair and after the fair. So that we can use the MNL model. What is the choice of the people who shifted after the fair and all.
So okay, thank you, and I will open the stage for other questions.
Like you have been showing, like I think sensitivity with the fare hike for different modes of transport.
Yes.
And sometimes it was for metro you are showing it negative. Like fare hike decreases the demand or
Decreases the ridership.
ridership. And for buses and some other modes it was positive. Like
Yes,
fare hike increases the.
It is a condition actually fare hike in the buses also increased by up to the 20%, but in Karnataka there is a free scheme given for the women travelers, Karnataka native women travelers. So that women who are traveling in the metros regularly in the previously, they shifted to the bus transportation
See,
after increase.
If I am talking about beta, you are talking about beta for a particular mode of transport, or you are talking about all combined?
All sir actually.
All.
Beta, I didn't understand question.
You are beta was the coefficient for sensitivity, maybe?
That is for travel time and travel cost, beta value.
So your study gives like 2.8%.
Yes.
That's a sensitivity. What does it mean for say buses?
2.8% of increasing in the mode share in the bus transport.
My confusion is why it's coming negative for metro and why it's coming positive for some other modes.
Sir, actually metro will increase up to the 50%, but there is a fair increase in up to 20% in bus transportation. People who are using before, people who are using the metros previously before fare hike, they can shift it to the bus. Some people, women travelers shifted to the bus transportation. Due to the free scheme, there is a no fare for the women in the buses.
So that minus 5.3 comes out of 20% hike in metro fares? How much?
Out of 5.3% decreases in the ridership in the metros, they can out of the 2.8 ridership it shifted to the bus transportation.
Okay, that's it. Well, you are showing this is minus 5.3%, which is shifting to 2.8% in buses and some other percentage.
Yes, sir.
In other. Okay, and this okay. How much fare hike was there in metro?
50%, up to 50% in metros. Currently, the normal was 60 rupees maximum and increased to 90 rupees.
Okay, one more question we can accommodate. Yes.
I am principal consultant from Haryana Metro. I am having the query to the presenter that did you compare your results, the theoretical results, with the actuals what has happened?
Yes, sir. We actually.
And what is the variation?
Current starting there will be daily ridership will be nearly 8 lakh something. After there will decreases to 7 lakh 40 or 38,000 after the fare hike.
Is it what
yes,
you are predicting?
Yes, sir.
By
That
your
match.
model?
Yeah,
Is it coming the same?
Yes, sir. Matching with that ridership before.
Okay, thank you very much for the wonderful presentation again, and we would like to move on from here. So I would like to call upon stage Ann Dash for 9789 paper ID presentation.
Very good morning to everyone. My name is Ann Das. I'm a research scholar at IIC Bangalore. My research focuses on integrating transportation and well-being in specific mental and social well-being dimensions. And today I would like to discuss about the blind spot in conventional transport models and how incorporating subjective well-being can improve our understanding in transportation systems and travel behavior. This paper is co-authored with my professor and my guide, Professor Ashish Verma and Aruna Shivkumar. This is the outline of my presentation. I would start off with a brief introduction and carried by motivation and the global studies that is carried out and what are the learnings that we can take and the reflection. So basically this presentation is a conceptual and theory building presentation. So starting off with quality of life. So quality of life is how an individual perceive both their objective as well as the subjective aspects of life. So according to the pioneer works done by Phelps and Perry, what they have incorporated is that understanding quality of life should not just be in terms of objective parameters, but should be an integration of both objective as well as subjective. Along with these two dimensions, one more aspect is the personal values, how much an individual gives priority to certain aspects of life. So taking this as the basics of my framework, I'm trying to integrate this into my transportation studies. So now focusing on the subjective aspect. Subjective aspect is basically the well-being, subjective well-being. So what is well-being? So well-being is nothing but how an individual perceives based on the personal experiences. So according to psychology and social sciences, subjective well-being is divided into two dimensions. The first dimension is the hedonic well-being and the second one is the eudaimonic well-being. Hedonic well-being is basically the emotions. So when we translate it into transportation, it becomes the emotions that one go through while traveling, and also how these emotions are adding up to their judgment in their travel. So it is called as cognitive judgment in psychology and social sciences. And coming to eudaimonic well-being is the broader sense of life. So together with commute, how is commute influencing a person's life satisfaction? So in my research, I'm trying to integrate these well-being, subjective well-being aspects and translating it into transportation. So the question would be, how can we translate this well-being into transportation? So one of the study done by Richard has translated well-being into 4 dimensions. The first dimension being physical, followed by mental, social, and economic well-being. All these travel attributes that you see here, built environment, accessibility, vehicle traffic, the travel time, the travel cost, all these contribute to the well-being. So for example, these attributes would increase or decrease our physical well-being, which would enhance or diminish our mental well-being. So it's a bi-directional flow, as you see. And if the mood of a commuter is better, he or she is better into social and level of communication with others. So this again is a bi-directional, as well as when one is physically fit, we can say that the economic well-being of that particular commuter is also very high. So taking this as my base, the next question that might pop up in your mind would be, is this translation of well-being to transportation really important? Yes, and I would tell you why. So all of us are driven by different levels of quality of life. So we need to meet different level of things. So we start off with human needs. Our human needs could be job, income, fitness, or it could be the kind of income that we need to earn. So how are these needs met in transportation? It is through the built environment, the travel attributes, the freedom of mobility, the quality of environment that we share. But unfortunately, in conventional transportation model, we stop it here and we just see the objective parameters and try understanding the travel behavior and the travel behavior shift. With this concept, we try building the policies and we feed it into the system. But unfortunately, I would call it as a vicious system, because it is not just transporting a person from A to B. It is also about how one feels while being transported from A to B. Therefore, how one user perceives about the way they have met their needs is not really studied, and this is taken in error term. So what I'm trying to understand in my study, I would also like to show up the policies that are built in such a way. For example, Yellow Line of Namma Metro. This was much of a awaited project in Bengaluru, but once it started in progress, the headway was so high that the trains are completely packed. So this also started affecting the subsequent Green Line and Green Line and Purple Line, which is already existing. Another case is that Robin Uthappa, we would be all knowing, he's a former international cricketer. So he shifted to Dubai just because the congestion level in Bangalore was so high. He is someone who can afford it, but what about an inclusive and equitable society that we are planning for? Would our policies feed in for all people? So that's a matter of question. Another project is a tunnel project, highly debated one, where for sure it would feed on to more of private vehicles and deteriorate our environment. So in such cases, we have to question the policies that are framed, and is the policies really resilient to our society? So this is where the importance of mixed approach comes in transportation modeling, where it's not only how needs are met, you should also understand how users perceive this fulfillment of their needs through how they are feeling while they're being commuted. So along with the objective parameter and the subjective parameter, it is important to study the travel behavior and the behavioral shift. So when we study in this way, we would be able to incorporate a people-centric policies, which needs to be fed into the transportation system. So my aim for today is to understand the global studies that are done across and incorporate and underscore how important subjective well-being is in transportation modeling and identify gaps. So starting off with review, for the interest of time, I will focus on few important papers. Starting off with this paper studied in Germany, Italy, and Sweden. So what they have basically done is, along with the objective parameters like travel time, cost, and accessibility, they've also studied the subjective well-being using satisfaction with travel scale. Satisfaction with travel scale, unfortunately, is the only transportation-based psychometric scale that is available. So what they do in this study, they've considered three factors, that is positive activation, positive deactivation. So these are basically the emotions. So they're measuring the emotions of commuters when they're traveling from A to B. And along with it, there's one more factor called as cognitive evaluation. So with these emotions, how is one evaluating or judging their commute? So the study says that recreational walkers are having high subjective well-being, and also if improvement of urban accessibility and safety is taken care, there's high level of improvement in well-being. So what they've done to do this, the policy that they have taken care is improve the NMT infrastructure. Followed by one of the important study done in China. So along with the emotions, they study, they also studied the spillover effects of commute, like taking productivity into consideration. And what they've understood is that the longer the commute is, the lesser the subjective well-being. So they are building in policies to make sure that they cut short the distance of commute. So coming to Indian context, we do not have much of studies done in subjective well-being, except for one of Alirani's paper. She also happens to be my senior research scholar. So she studied quality of life and developed an index in 4 dimensions: mobility, accessibility, environment, and health. She also did a study on Church Street. It's basically pedestrianization, and she found out that post-pedestrianization, the commuters and pedestrians were much happier. Unfortunately, it didn't see the light, and the research and knowledge was not transmitted to the policies. So in global context, we can see that the research is still being explored on disintegrating subjective well-being, although nevertheless, we do see a few studies happening in Europe. If we correlate it with the happiness index, because most of the European context, they study well-being and also try improving their NMT infrastructure. So Europe has quite a good number of studies that's coming up. In terms of Asia,
and you have 1 minute.
Yeah, yes, sir, I'm winding it up. So in terms of Asia, China is focusing on subjective well-being, especially post-pandemic. So most of their transportation studies now focus on subjective well-being because they realize the importance that it's not just the objective parameters, but also the subjective, that how do one feel while commuting is equally important. So China is coming up with good number of studies. So to wrap up the summary of evidences, walking and cycling is consistently associated with higher physical, mental, and social well-being. Places like Sweden, Germany are highly, increasing or emphasizing the importance of NMT infrastructure, and this we can correlate with their happiness index too. So these European countries are highly happy as well. So there is a good correlation between the infrastructure used there as well as their well-being. Coming to public transport system, affordability and accessibility remains an important aspect. Crowding and delays are majorly affected to the older communities and also lower income section. Car use communities, studies say that they are satisfied, but when it comes to stress, they are dealing with high amount of stress and also social well-being. So they are socially excluded in such environment or such modes. And coming to two-wheelers and motorbikes, which we usually see in Asian communities, exposure to accidents and pollutions are high compared to other modes, which is also deteriorating their well-being. So to summarize, active modes and sustainable mobility, they are having better well-being. Motorized and congested modes are having higher amount of stress. And also when we're doing subjective well-being, something that I realized is that context matter. So we cannot directly incorporate the European context to Indian context since we have a mixed traffic. Therefore, the context really is important. And emerging shift to, it's not only the efficiency, but also the human well-being is also important. So I would like to summarize taking the key takeaways is that, yeah, it's done. So the key takeaway is that there's a critical gap. The critical gap is that in the modern transportation modeling, we have to incorporate subjective well-being, and also so through these insights, we would be able to get better people-centric policies, which could also be incorporated in SDGs like good health, well-being, sustainable cities, climate actions, and empowered decision-making. So I would like to conclude saying that when we design cities just for speed, we move vehicles, and when we design cities for well-being, we move people and we move happy commuters. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ann, for the wonderful presentation. I think in the interest of time, maybe one quick question.
Sure.
Quick question. Anyone has any quick, short question? Okay, so moving forward, let me, thanks,
Thank you.
Ms. Ann. Moving forward, the last speaker is Mohammed Shahid. Yeah. We'll be talking about conflict in sustainable transport systems in India, case study of Ahmedabad city. Over to you, Mohammed Shahid. If you have 10 minutes for your presentation and followed by 5 minutes for Q&A. Okay, over to you.
I am Mohammed Shahid. I'm from IT Roorkee. My title is Intent versus Reality Conflict in Sustainable Transport System in India, focusing on the Ahmedabad public transport system. As we all know, India is the most populous country in the world, and over the years, the number of vehicles registered in India is increasing, and the issues of the congestion, the pollution is increasing. And for such that, the Indian cities have adopted different types of systems such as metro, BRTS, but somehow Indian cities are not able to sustain those systems. For example, the failure of the BRTs in many cities such as Jaipur, Bhopal, Delhi, and also due to the decline in the ridership or the low people using the public transport, the metro is facing the financial issues such as Jaipur Metro, which is kind of economically unviable for now and running in the losses. Such that Ahmedabad is the city which have 3 major public transport systems, MTS, BRTS and the metro. But over the years, there has been a steep decline in the ridership. There has been 47% decline in the MTS buses since 2008, and the BRTS also started in 2009. It has a great start, but it was almost stagnant in 2013, and now its ridership is plateaued around 1.5 lakhs. And also the metro is starting in 2022 has not achieved its targeted riderships. So the Ahmedabad government tried to achieve the new system instead of first focusing over the existing transport system and improving it. Such that they started BRTS in 2009, then MRTS in 2022, and now they are focusing over to introduce the LRT in the AMC area. So this raises the question, when the government is investing so much in the public transportation system, why people are not using, and there is a decline in the ridership there. So the study is focusing over the finding those factors which influencing people not to use the public transport. This is the research methodology that I have used in my study. The study area is Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation area, having an area of 490 square kilometer and population of 5.56 million. The walkability has the highest mode share, around 32%, and the public transport is around only 12%. we have conducted surveys within the MC area. We collected 218 responses, out of which 205 responses was used for the analysis. Out of the total responses, 68% were the females, were the males, and 32% were the females. Most of the responses falling to the age group of 18 to 25 and the middle income groups. People prefer to use the public transport, but as the income increases, the usage of public transport by the higher income groups decrease, and they prefer the private vehicles instead of the public transport. The purpose for which the buses and the metro has been used in Ahmedabad was highly for the education and the work trips. The buses has been used for the average distance of around 11.9 kilometer, for which they have to spend around 27.70 minutes to travel through the buses, while if we see for the metro, the distance was around 10 kilometers and you have to spend around 22 minutes for traveling via metro. For reaching out the bus stops and the metro station, you have to walk around 600 meters for the bus stops, and for getting the metro station, you have to walk around 700 meters. And the other concerning issue was the waiting times. The higher waiting times was observed for the buses. Average 14 minutes you have to wait for getting the next bus, and for the metro it was around 7 minutes. We have also asked people to rate the different attributes on a Likert scale. So we use the exploratory factor analysis for analyzing that. The initial analysis resulted into 5 constructs, but there was cross loadings having 0.03. So we have removed those indicators, and we have got final structure of 18 attributes, which converted into 3 factor structure having a variance of 59%. Further, the factor structure were validated through the discriminant validity and reliability, having the values above the threshold values. The final structure was the infrastructure and multimodal integration, perceived safety and reliability F2, and the user inclusivity and travel experience. Further, ACM analysis was done through the measurement model and the structural model for getting the interrelationship between those construct and with the mod choice. The 7 indicators removed here because of the low loadings, and also due to the having a VIF value more than 5. The 7, based on the model, we get 7 hypotheses, 7 paths was created, which were further assessed through the reliability assessment and the validity assessment. Reliability assessment we got through the indicator reliability, internal consistency reliability, where we got all the values above the threshold value, and the validity assessment were done through the convergent validity, having an AV of more than 0.50, and the discriminant validity through the STMT ratio. Further structural model was assessed through the convergent validity and coefficient of determination. So here we got out of the 7 path, or we can say hypotheses, we assume the 6 was significant and only the 1 was non-significant, where we can say F2 having a direct influence on the satisfaction was non-significant. So we got 3 structure which combining forming a user-centered and safe, efficient multimodal transport system. So the indicators which were critical we got through the analysis are these. So the significant, there are the significant untapped potentials we observed in the Ahmedabad public transport system that should be improved. So the pressing concerns was infrastructure and multimodal integration, and the safety and the reliability of public transport. We also recommended to firstly focus on the existing infrastructure to improve the existing public transport. Like for example, the buses, they are not much in a good condition bus stop, so they should prioritize to improve the existing structural improvement, also enhancing the pedestrian access, and also improve the integration between the different modes. So so we proposed to use the 5 internationally recognized principles. And for the integration part, especially we given focus to having a institutional framework, which we have a single authority for the operational. For example, for now we have a different authorities for different buses. For example, BRTS we have Ahmedabad Janmarg Limited, MTS we have Ahmedabad Municipal Transport Services. So there should be authority which should focus on the unified operations of all the transport services. This is my limitation of my studies. Thank you.
Okay, you're done. Thank you, Shahid, for the interesting presentation. I think we have 5 minutes for the Q&A. We can take 4 or 5 questions from the audience. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you can.
Hi, thank you for the wonderful presentation. I had a small query. I realized that overcrowding was removed because of low factor loading, right?
Yes.
If I remember correctly. But that doesn't logically make sense because overcrowding plays an important role in user comfort and safety, which is also a major theme in your analysis. So how do you think that happened?
Like overcrowding was majorly removed due to the lower loadings, I think. So we remove based on the loadings we get. We remove all the indicators having the value less than 0.7. So that's why that removed. And also we also include the we did the recurrent surveys and all. So remembering all of that thing, we include the indicator which has more importance and relative to the study. So that's why we have initially removed that.
Hello, I am Panchanan Mishra from UP Metro Rail Corporation, Lucknow.
Yeah.
In your study, you demonstrated that ridership in bus, Ahmedabad city bus, and also the metro, both are declining.
Yes, sir.
So, what is increasing? Is it car usage or any other factor you find?
Yes, sir. Private vehicle usage is increasing, especially the two-wheeler usage. They have around more than 70% usage of private two-wheelers.
So you mean to say that metro is not making any more difference because BRTS was already very popular in Ahmedabad, but now as it is, the ridership is declining, and metro is also declining, the ridership in metro. So it's a very, I think it's a very big threat to public transport system.
Yes, sir. In case of the BRTS, the issues like it started in 2009. Initially, it has a good ridership, but then it decreased. The reason first is that like people also using the dedicated lanes, so it basically increasing the traffic over there. The private vehicle users are using the dedicated lane, which increasing the traffic and also the congestion and the overcrowding too. So that's the reason for declining in the BRTS scenario. And for the metro scenario, that it's a new system. The people are not used to that, and also it's limited. Within the MC area, there are only 2 lines for now. So that's also a reason having a low ridership. Yes. Yes, I have considered, but like, yeah, the first, as of my information, the bus fleet has increased, not just decreased. The number of buses in the AMTS also and the BRTS, they've increased. Even though in the future they're planning to have around 200 or something AC, electric buses in the BRTS. The information I got through the Janmarg and the AMTS offices. So that. Okay. Okay, I will look into that.
I have a question regarding what are the challenges for establishment of the system of BRTS. For example, in Mumbai, we have a very good suburban rail network, but not a BRTS corridor. The efforts had started to establish one. So what do you think are the challenges or the key performance indicators that can establish a successful BRTS corridor in a megacity?
For the BR, currently the BRTS stops like people are using, but there are issues like the entry gates are just like there are two entry gates, but one is working, one is not working. Okay, they are using the other gate entry is for the storage. Okay, second is about getting the tickets online. Ticket people, and most important is information. There is no app for the BRTS, so people are not getting pre-information for fixing their travel already. So these things, when we start especially improving the existing scenario, improving the bus stop, the first and last mile connectivity issue, the information issue, providing information to the public, this may help to increase the ridership.
One of your slides said that the public is not accepting the public transport, but there are so many reasons that she has also listed. The basic thing is that public transport, why people are not accepting, is mainly due to the fleet that BRTS failed, not due to the infrastructure. It failed due to the scheduling, routing and scheduling. See, if I don't get a bus 15 minutes, why I should wait? Because I have other options. I can shift to my two-wheeler because that is more comfortable to me than why I should wait for 15 minutes. So it is the fleet augmentation that is needed for BRTS success. So there we are lacking, I think. Plus metro, first and last mile connectivity is utmost important now. See, what has happened, the development has happened, and now we are retrofitting by providing a MRTS system where inch of a land has a great value in that urban transport scenario. So the land cost is too high where we cannot provide the parking also. So the people say we don't have any parking, then why I should travel to the metro? So these aspects needs to be seen in the context of first and last mile connectivity, has to be seen in a wider context to increase the use of public transport. So it is fleet augmentation and the first and last mile connectivity. Of course the systems are there. Plus always the metro should act as a main transit route, what I can say, main mode, and the first and last mile connectivity should complement to the metro. Then only once in the last urban mobility, O.P. Agrawal sir said that if metro acts as a trunk route and if we provide the first and last mile connectivity, it will increase the ridership by 80% onto the metro. So these needs to be thought while planning the public transport now. That is my suggestion. Thank you.
So you have any response to that question? Shahid?
That was a suggestion.
Okay, great. Any other question from the audience? One last question, short and quick. Okay, if none, I think let me thank Mohammed Shahid for the interesting and informative presentation. And with this presentation, we are also coming to the conclusion of this session on public transport. We had an interesting lineup of 6 papers focusing on travel behavior, safety, sustainability perspectives, and conflict concepts in public transport. And let me congratulate each speaker and every author of those papers, for bringing their research to this forum, and also thankful to all the audience, members of the audience, for encouraging the speakers by providing providing suggestions and questions. And I'm also thankful to the UMI for giving me this opportunity. With this, we break for the tea, and the speakers are available always for an interaction. Audience can interact with them. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Good day.
Sorry, sir. So please be seated for one moment. For the valuable time of the session chair, we would like to appreciate him with a small token of gratitude.